We are now less than a month away from Election Day, and today is your last chance to register to vote here in Texas. Janelle Bluda connects the dots on the pandemic's impact on registration.
The coronavirus pandemic makes a lot of things tougher, and here in Texas, that includes registering new voters. Let's connect the dots. In an election year, nonprofits on both sides of the political spectrum hit the streets and knock on doors, all in an effort to register new voters. But during a global pandemic, all that comes to an end. According to the Texas Tribune, that means in the Lone Star State, new registrations are down 24% compared to the same time frame in 2016. How you have to register to vote in Texas doesn't help the situation. 41 states have passed legislation allowing residents to register online. Texas is not one of them. A recent court ruling has forced the state to allow people renewing their driver's license online to be able to register to vote online as well, but that's being appealed. The low registration numbers this year affect both parties, but could be a little more painful for Democrats. Some political watchers say Texas is not a red state so much as a low voter turnout state. The thinking being, if you increased voter turnout, there's a very good chance Texas would turn blue. That may have gotten harder this year thanks to COVID-19. Connecting the dots, I'm Janelle Bluda for H-Town Rush.
All right, Janelle, thank you. And another important date that you'll want to write down, October 13th. That's when early voting starts here in Texas. And of course, Election Day, November 3rd.